No, I'll have the other one that you don't use. You did? Her?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I had to reschedule my date for this cake. A lot of things right here require my attention. I remember. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, where do you say that you found it? I don't have it.
What? It was right underneath the register. No, it was like underneath it, like sticking to that. Oh, wait, is that yours? Hmm.
Yo.
Hey. Okay, so this one's live now.
Okay.
Oh, it's live. Okay, cool.
Sweet.
I just did it too.
No, hold on.
It's in my purse. Okay. Let me pull up the other thing. Were you guys able to read the material?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull it up.
Yeah. Definitely wasn't as easy of a read as the last one. This one.
Oh, I struggled real hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't mean this like rude. It was just so dull.
Yeah.
Because I know diversity is like an important thing. Like I know that it was just really hard to like read it in a business case study format.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. I read most of it. Okay.
I did not read. Well, I didn't get very much out of the M. Russell Ballard talk. The last of the readings.
Mm.
I just like skimmed it.
Well, you did better than I did because I didn't even read it. I have had the craziest week, like last week, but
They'll only get worse from here out.
I know. Okay, are you guys ready to start?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see, the first question. I'm going to set a timer like you did.
Okay.
Okay. So, ask one person at a time to explain one of each of the three diversity paradigms described in Making Differences Matter. Explain the paradigm.
Okay. So, discrimination and fairness, that one talked about that it doesn't matter what race you are, what religion you are, everybody is exactly the same. You don't treat anybody any differently. You're all just supposed to be, you work for the company, you're workers of the company, and that's it. That's kind of what I got out of that one.
Then I guess I'll take the access and
Okay.
legitimacy.
Okay.
The second one. To me, that one sounded like I like affirmative action. I think where like it's like, oh, we want differences and we want cultural differences, so we're gonna put this plan in place and have like structured, like, yes, you will go here and you will go here, but then you will all be the same. And so like it like included it, but then like it didn't have any benefits of actually applying cultural differences and differentiation. So it was like not as beneficial, obviously.
And then you want me to take the third one, Rachel?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm confused.
Okay.
I feel like they're all the same.
They were all pretty similar, but then
Yeah.
what helped me distinguish them was that like the case goes on to say like third paradigm businesses, like the third paradigm is like the best one, and then there's just subtle
Which
different.
paradigm?
The last one,
The last one, connecting diversity to work perspectives.
yeah.
Okay.
And then there's just subtle differences between the first two.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, Eric, what did you think the differences between the first two were?
Well, on the second one, that's different than the first one, because the first one you're all the same. The second one, they celebrate that people are different, but it gave the one example of the Europe. They set up a company in Europe and sent Americans over there, and just stuff didn't work out, and so they brought in European workers that had American education, and just everything started running smoothly and it clicked. So they had diversity in there. The only problem is the owner says, we never figured out why the diversity worked. We just know it worked, but we didn't figure out the details, so we failed there. So I think on that second one, they accept diversity, but yeah,
there was something different. There's something wrong with like the culture of the company and the way they work that didn't allow. Yeah, explain.
yeah,
Let it happen, because like they said, if they like lost all like of like the French employees, they would have no idea what about the French employees made it successful, and they wouldn't be able to recreate it.
exactly. Yep. Yeah. Correct. Let's see.
Yeah, what else is in the case?
So the third one, you know, because the first two are kind of the old ways of doing things, and then the third one is that we're all part of the company, we're all on the same team, and we're all different, and we need to let those differences come into the company. You know, just because a guy is Asian, you know, let some of those thoughts or ideas come into play. Where I couldn't stand this part, just because you're white or Asian doesn't mean it's different. You know, there's guys at my work that are all white guys, and there's some weird dudes. They're very good at what they do, but they're weird guys. It wouldn't matter if they were black or Asian or Mexican or whatever. It doesn't, to me, race and stuff, I don't know. To me, I thought some of the stuff in this article was like, you're thinking like a racist, you know, but I guess my mindset's totally different because I don't have those thoughts. I don't think of a race being stereotyping a race for a certain reason. I mean, whites are just as lazy as other races, you know.
I did think about that, like when like the color rave talk. I guess that's like the next part. We have to talk about it for a half hour, so I'll save my thoughts on it. But yeah, it had mentioned like they have like a room of like white executives. So, do you need me to take Lincoln? I can slot on.
Really struggling, but just when you have a chance.
I will. I'll come get him. You have like a room of like white executives like sitting around a board meeting. It doesn't mean like they're all the same.
Yeah.
Like they will come from different backgrounds, and maybe someone was white but it was like raised in a military family and actually grew up in like lots of European countries. I don't know. It was like totally different.
Yeah.
And so I was not struggling with that, but it was difficult to understand because like you can't just like, oh, you're white, so your ideas are exactly the same as the white guy next to you.
Yeah.
It could be exactly the same as the black guy next to you, but it's like, oh, diversity. Look, there's. It's like, no, you guys think exactly the same. There's no difference. Carry on. I will swaddle and take care of my son a little bit.
No problem. I just think the last one did focus a little bit more on that, where it said it doesn't matter what race and gender and religion you are. It's accepting different ideas from different people. So I think that third one definitely did kind of focus on the thoughts that we've been talking about here the last couple minutes, better than the other two did.
Okay, there's 2 minutes left on this.
Okay.
So maybe we should move on.
Okay.
Let's see. Give an example of an organization you have observed or worked for that shows some aspect of the paradigm you chose. Explain whether you think that paradigm was effective for that organization.
Okay. Guess I'll go. So I will say the last one. Let's see. Think about this for a second. The company I work for now is very diverse. We're a worldwide company, and so we have offices in a couple different areas. Even our office here in Arizona. It's mostly, out of the 55 people that work for us, probably 45 of us are LDS. So there's a big LDS influence, but we still have other races. We have a guy from Mexico that works for us. But besides all of that, I feel that we're kind of diverse, and even our thoughts, as members of the church, and I think we'll talk about this a little bit later, probably when we talk about the church talk, Elder Ballard's talk. But we are all different, and we have different thoughts and points of view, and the president of our company is very good at
sorry, it keeps cutting out.
We should have had Eric mute it.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute my microphone. I realize I should probably. So mad. Where is it? Okay, pull it back down and mute.
Okay, so.
Sorry.
No, that was funny. Where was I? But the president of our company is very good about listening to everyone's point of view. It doesn't matter if you're one of the executives or if you're a new hire. He likes to hear thoughts and ideas. I think he's very forward. He's probably close to retiring, probably in about the next 10 years. Right now he's trying to set up our company for the future generation to take it over. But he is very good about listening to thoughts and ideas and then putting those into action. So I am grateful for that, because I feel that everybody has a say in what goes on. And he doesn't only
that's
listen,
really neat.
He applies things too.
Does he act on it? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So his focus is the future and just doing what's best for the company. It has nothing to do with anything really, just the company.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I like the fact that he's preparing the company for the future, so there's three main guys. They'll all be leaving in the next 10 years or so. And when they're gone, I don't think the company will digress. I think it'll continue to progress because of the preparation that he's doing.
Well, that's cool. I was trying to think of one, but I've only worked for one company really.
Okay.
I guess if you look at it in the way that you were explaining, where it didn't matter your position, I guess that, I don't know if that necessarily works for diversity, but I mean, I was a housekeeper at a hotel, and we didn't matter at all. But I also was the front desk, and I mattered when I was working the front desk, but when I was a housekeeper, like I said, it didn't matter. We had no say in anything, and if we ever had a problem with anything, something was broken or our products weren't working or whatever, it was like asking our boss to cut our arms off. It was ridiculous. So, but I guess you could, I don't know if it said that in the reading, but I wonder if you could apply the, like being diverse and making it, I just lost my train of thought, but,
like the higher you are at a company.
So like your position shouldn't matter, just like your culture or your background or whatever, because we're all working for the same company. We all have roughly the same goals. So
yeah, no, for sure, I think you bring up a good point. I kind of look at it in the church, it doesn't matter if you're the bishop or if you're a nursery teacher, your job, and you're there to serve and become closer to Christ. So I think that's
exactly
in the workplace as well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm being a very bad discussion leader because the timer went off a while ago.
No, sorry.
Let's see. We didn't get to those other questions. Should we continue with that part one, or should we move on to part two?
I think you move on after your time's up. You move on to
okay. Okay. So then
we can use the time we spent over into that 30 minutes because it just seems dauntingly large amount of time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Oh, just roll the time we went over in part one into part two.
Okay. That's what I'll do. So, what does Hobson mean about being color brave? What do you think color braveness would look like in the workplace? Is it similar to the integration paradigm, or is she talking about something different?
Did you guys watch that video?
Yeah, the TED Talk.
Yeah.
And she said we just need to be bold about the differences we have and just talk openly about it and without hiding and stuff like that. I don't know. And then I guess I've just never seen much of that in jobs I've worked in because my experience is small and I haven't had tons of professional experience. So I haven't had lots of situations where I'm working with culturally different people that are raised totally differently and think totally differently about the way I do. So I feel like I'm not terribly good at analyzing situations like that and being color brave. It's I don't have lots of opportunities to do it.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly open to the idea because why not?
Yeah. Listening to her talk, it was kind of hard for me. I mean, I know tons of people don't like other people because of the color of their skin or their race or religion or whatever, but it's hard for me to understand because my parents were not like that, so I was never raised like that. I'm not like that, and people are just people,
Mm-hmm.
But I totally get it of being bold, don't be nervous around a black guy, talk to him just like you would anybody else. I feel like, you treat people the same no matter what. I guess that's kind of my thought. I feel bad for people that have to endure racism and things like that. I guess as a member of the church, I might feel that somewhere else, but living in Gilbert, Arizona, where there's members everywhere, I don't really feel that.
So just in semi-relevant to that, no, pretty relevant. I didn't really. I guess so. In my encounters with like racism and stuff like that, what's like helped me see that like, oh, people haven't necessarily had the life I have had, even though they lived it right next to mine. Like, there's tons of illegals in Arizona, and like, you could look at literally any Mexican or like someone you see, you're like, oh, they're probably Mexican. You could look at them driving next to you, and like, if you're a cop, it's like, well, are they legal? Because literally there are millions here, and so like, or are they not? And so like, someone Mexican might be like afraid of the cops, because it's like, wow, are they gonna mistake me for like an illegal, like, or whatever. So like, I know they would grow up differently, having different perspectives than I would. And then that's not racism at all. I don't think that is. But one time I faced a bit of racism on my mission in Montana. When like just a couple times it came up with like when I was talking to like members there, they were like older, definitely, certainly not a young view. This was expressed, but they're like, yeah, when blacks received the priesthood, like when that came through, I had to pray about it, but I had to just trust that it was all right. And I was like, whoa, you're a little bit racist. You didn't agree with that. Like, you weren't like, yes, finally.
That's crazy.
You were like, should they? I was like, I never like known someone to have that view.
Yeah.
And so that was like they were like old Montanans. That doesn't excuse it. Like, wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
But that's like helped shape my political views and just my personal views that like, oh, people don't necessarily think the same way I do. Like, and like everybody needs to know that.
Yeah.
And so I guess they're like Color Brave comes into that with like, you just need to be open to people's ideas and respectful and bold but not overbearing, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, like you said, Eric Parkinson, you weren't raised, like your parents were, they never thought of color. I mean, people were just people. Yeah. But, I mean, then Eric W, sorry, I can't remember your last name. Like you said, they were old Montanians or whatever. That's probably just how they were taught. That's just how they were raised, or the time that they were raised. And so it's just, I think another thing to think about is not only the race or the cultures or the backgrounds of people, but just how people were raised, how to think. And I mean, it's easy for us to say that's not appropriate, that's definitely racist, but for people who were raised, with parents who, I don't know, maybe their parents were super racist. They didn't, they grew up when, whatever. I don't know where I'm going with this, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So, and I think that's another thing to think about in the workplace as well, is I may not think it's appropriate, so we need to, and I guess it sounds rude when we say we should respect other people's, but we should respect other people's opinions, even if it's not necessarily a good one, or it's not the same as ours. But that is another, my mind was that we all think differently, and we should respect it instead. Because I mean, I feel like that could cause a lot of more contention as well by trying to change someone else's opinion.
For
So,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's see the next question. What could have been done? Oh wait, did we answer? Oh, just kidding, we didn't answer this one. So the authors of Making Differences Matter explain that some managers are more comfortable addressing problems with outright discrimination than more subtle diversity problems. Have you ever been in a team, group, or organization where one person's ideas or approach to doing work was hard for the rest of the group to understand because of a difference in background, experience, gender, race, or something else?
I've maybe seen that in gender here on campus.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell my friend's story, even though she was in my IBC group. And Eric, that's where. Do you know what IBC is?
I don't.
It's part of the business program where you run a business on campus for a semester.
Oh, gotcha.
You're assigned with a group of students to like start an apparel company, or sometimes you can get a pick, and then you run it for 9 weeks, and it's this awesome experience.
Okay.
And you like make all these decisions as students, and no one really tells you what to do.
Hmm.
I ran a restaurant, Backyard Barbecue. We did pulled pork sandwiches.
What was it called?
Backyard Barbecue. It was in the winter semester, so just at the beginning. Of the winter.
Okay, never mind. I was I was in Rexburg, but I never went on campus.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, a girl in there, we had pretty much this discussion as like part of like the curriculum. And she was like, we had 2 girls in our group, and they were like, yeah, we've like both have seen experiences where like we're not treated like equally like men, just because like I don't know, maybe there's I don't know what all was involved. But she was like, I was in a class where like I was in a group, and then I had to my ideas. I would say an idea, and like nobody would listen to it. And then I would like tell someone like, hey, say this. And then that guy would like speak on behalf of the girl. Not like, oh, I will speak for her, but it was like, oh, I've got this idea. And people would be like, that's a good idea. And like no one listened to it when it came from a girl, but they listened to it when it came from a man. And like, I don't know, that kind of made me mad that people
I've had similar
like
experiences.
that. Have you?
Yeah, I remember being in a group there was 4 of us, and I was the only girl, and
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you cut out if you're talking.
Yep.
Can't hear you.
my
Bummer.
voice making it. What was that?
The past like 10 seconds were just silent for Eric.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. So I was taking B211 with CapSim.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys have taken it. Yeah, I can tell you how.
Oh.
Anyway, so yeah, there was 4 of us in a group, and I was the only girl, and they would never listen to me until one time I said something, and I was like, no, I know that this is what we need to do. This is what I've been studying. This is what I've been learning. We should make this decision. And so when that decision ended up being a really good decision and it got us in the lead, then they realized, oh, maybe her opinions are good. And then it mattered to them. But it wasn't until I proved that I was, smart enough that they listened. So
You just brought up some bad memories for me of that class.
I'm sorry. Did you take it online then?
I did. I took it last.
Oh, I imagine it would be really hard online.
It was hard, but I mean, I got a good grade, but I wish.
Oh, good.
Are you done? Rachel?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
I've been trying to think. I can't think of an example off the top of my head on this one right now. I'm sure it's happened, but.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
So what could have been done in that situation to gain from the diversity of the group?
Well, I think, thinking of situations and hearing both of your guys' situations, instead of judging others or putting others down or thinking, oh, someone can't do something because either they're a girl or race, religion, whatever, have more of an open mind and
Mhm.
try and learn something from the experience rather than having a negative attitude or putting someone down because of their differences.
Sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Sorry, I said it. Instead of having more of a positive attitude and trying to get something out of it instead of
Mhm.
putting someone down because of their differences, trying to gain something.
Oh, yeah.
Well, then I would argue that, not that this, I'm not making an excuse for them, but I bet you they didn't even like think that they were like rejecting your opinion,
Yeah.
Rachel, because like I bet you they didn't like have that on their mind, like, oh, like let's not listen to her. Like they don't even realize they do it, because like I do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Like I do that to my wife.
Right. Yeah.
I know that like at times she doesn't feel valued because just like my action, but it's like, whoa, I did not mean that. Like that's how it comes off.
Mhm.
Like to like avoid doing that, I have to be like very self-aware of like the tone I'm taking and what I'm not saying, and it's hard, but like it's work, and then it's just like forming a habit. Eventually, it just becomes the new normal.
Mhm. Yeah, and to go along with what both of you said, I think a lot of us just have a closed mind, or we just think about what we want and what we think is best. And so, yeah, we probably do form this habit of just shutting out and turning down everyone else's opinions. And yeah, like you said, Eric, we should just keep an open mind with it, and it will definitely help us. And I think, I mean, in my situation, they all were able to learn. I mean, not saying like I was the smartest one and they were learned from me, but I mean that in that situation, they learned, oh, that's a good strategy. We can do that in the future. And so, if you have an open mind, you can learn from other people's perspectives and their opinions. So,
But I think it takes like consciously thinking about having an open mind to change behavior. Because
mhm.
you can be like, oh yeah, I'm really open-minded, but that idea sucks.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I know you think your ideas are right, but
Uh-huh.
not be. Like
Right.
try to keep a bigger perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think Eric said earlier that his boss is really good about listening as well as acting on to everybody's opinions regardless of their position. So I think another thing to go, not just listen to other people's opinions and their ideas, but to maybe act on them and try them. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try, or to, I mean, in that situation with Capson, that's a simple, we can just plug in the numbers, see if that works. If it doesn't, well, we tried your idea, it was great, let's build off of it or whatever. And then, then we at least feel like you're listening, and I don't know where I was going with that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Capson was the worst.
Yeah.
I never like got the hang of it.
no. I actually loved that class. Everyone dreads it, and I loved it.
I liked the learning all the business terms and stuff like that, and like
Yeah.
equations and stuff or formulas. That was like super useful, I thought. But like, I honestly I don't even know what I learned out of Capson. I learned how to like do a video game.
Yeah.
What was I supposed
I
to
don't think I would have liked it. Or I think the reason why I liked it is because I had time for it. I didn't have a job. Now, if I were to take it now with my job, I think I would hate it. Well, I know I would have hated it.
Yeah.
So we got 3 minutes left. So many companies still do have problems with outright discrimination. Have you ever worked for or observed a company where there are outright discrimination problems? What was that experience like?
I don't know if this is discrimination. I don't know. You guys see. I'll give you the case. My first job was at a smoothie shop, and me and like a friend worked there, and we got another friend hired, and in Gilbert, Arizona, like it's like a high Mormon population, and then and like the situation with like our boss, like the owner, like wasn't like terrific, because like all he did was hire like high school kids and expected like a professionally run business. We're like, dude, we just screw around. That's all we do. I'll clean the equipment, but whatever. His fault. Kind of our fault. At a Sunday, or not, at like a work meeting, the two people that were like supposed to schedule on Sunday were like, oh, we can't work. And then he was like, okay, we need someone to cover their shifts. And then he was like, Eric, can you cover it? I was like, sorry, I don't work on Sunday. And he like asked my friend, and he was like, I don't work either. It's like, that was in my application. Like, that was conditional upon being hired. And then like someone else who does work Sunday was like, ooh, I can't. We're like, you should. Whatever, I can't make you. And then he's like, can you work or not? I was like, no, Mario. He's like, then get out of here. You're fired. And then he like fired like my buddy, and then like one other person just like walked out with us. Then like months later, the whole business like closed down because it was a not profitable Robex. They're bigger in California. But I don't know if I was discriminated against for not working on Sunday because of my beliefs. That's my experience. My first job.
Did you file a lawsuit?
No, Arizona's the right to work state. You can literally fire and hire for any reason.
Yeah.
But like people like ask me like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. But no, that's how I know that. That's how I could be hired at 15 and a half.
I would say, well, I don't know. I'm having a hard time like determining what exactly is considered discrimination. Because like with those case studies, I mean, like for example, the pregnancy one, are they supposed to be like, these are for sure, like these are discrimination and this is it, or are we just supposed to determine if they were? Because the requirement was that she had to be able to lift a minimum of 25 pounds, and her doctor cleared her for 20 pounds. And so I think by saying or like making a bigger deal about her being pregnant because she didn't realize that she was pregnant, but that wasn't necessarily the reason why that they ended up like taking back or just saying, oh, we're actually not going to hire you, if that makes sense. Because do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I thought the doctor said she could lift between 20 and 30 pounds, and the minimum was like 25. And then the company came back and said, "Oh, wait,
tonight." Hold on, it keeps cutting out.
Sorry, can you hear
Sorry.
me?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then the company came back and said, "You have to be able to lift 60 pounds, so therefore we're letting you go." Is that right? Do you remember that?
Oh, did they? Yeah, I remember something about 60 pounds.
And see, that in my mind.
Oh wait, actually, I think.
Reason that
wait, maybe I read it wrong, but.
Go. And I could have too.
Sorry, what was it? What was that last part?
Might keep cutting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
They like move the finish line on her.
Yeah, so they moved the weight up to 60 pounds instead of 25, what it was. I thought she had a reasonable lawsuit there because of it.
Because they changed
Yeah, they changed it so like they didn't have to like deal with her. They could like, was it fire her and just not hire her?
Well, they had already hired her, and I think they.
Well, it said that they would hire her assuming she passed the exam.
Oh, gotcha.
The physical test. So I think they told her she had the job, but she just has to take this physical.
Yes.
Or pass the physical, and if she doesn't, whatever. But I didn't. Maybe I read it wrong because I remember thinking it said that she could do 20, and then she could lift 60 pounds occasionally.
Gotcha.
But I don't remember. So.
We find out the answers next week, but we don't have to give the right answers. We don't get marked off the right answers.
Well, I guess maybe to address your confusion in the case, it's not. I think it is just giving examples of discrimination, not like, do you think this is? I know kind of like the ending of the case is like very opinion based, but like it states facts in it that are like, here's an example of this type of discrimination. I think that was discrimination.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Objective.
Gotcha. Okay.
Rachel, you're frozen.
Should we just move on then?
Okay.
Okay. So Elder Ballard describes a church council. Does the ward council he describes follow the integration paradigm? Explain.
Well, I'll talk first because I know the least about it. But I know there was like a bishop that he gave a bishop a problem. The bishop was like, we're going to do this about it. You do this, you do this, you do this. Ready, break. And he was like, well, while that will get the job done, I think you should probably get some opinions on how to solve this differently. And so that certainly, that second correction, the go back and do it again, definitely follows like the example third paradigm. Whereas before it was more just like paradigm 1.
Yeah. Do this. Yeah. So let's see, the integration paradigm. That's the third one, right? That they're asking about in this question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Integration. Yeah, that's
I
third.
think so.
So yeah, I think he does. I listened to this talk just right before this meeting. I'm glad you were late, Rachel, because I got to finish it. But yeah, I think so, because Elder Ballard talked about, that everyone in ward council has a voice and opinion. The Relief Society president, the Elders Quorum president, high priest, Sunday school, just everybody comes from different backgrounds and has different ideas, and they work with different groups, and they have different opinions, and it's important to listen to all of those. And one thing that's good about a ward council is normally everybody's working for the same purpose, and that's to help the members of the church out. Hopefully the bishop listens to everybody and follows their counsel, and he has the ultimate decision to pray about it and to make sure things are right. But yeah, so I think Elder Ballard does describe that third one.
Let's see. What are the advantages to a bishop of counseling with the Elders Quorum president, Relief Society president, primary president, and others?
I was just reading that question. I'll probably be badly describing it, but hopefully you guys pick up the pieces. That's example of like 6 blind people trying to encounter an elephant for the first time, and one person's like holding onto the ear, and he's like, "Oh, an elephant's a lot like a leaf," and then one person's like holding the tail, and he's like, "No, an elephant's a lot like a snake," and then one blind person is like holding like the leg, and is like, "No, an elephant's like a tree." Like they all have like these different perspectives on it because like they're like fixed into like their own. But then like, I don't know, if they ask someone else, they could all get like different perspective. And it's, I don't know, just from like the different auxiliary presidencies, you just get different perspectives on a situation where you might think one way is the right way to answer it, but then you have no idea that like this huge problem is like blaring in their life, and you wouldn't know unless you ask the Elders Quorum president.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough I'm the ward clerk, so I get to go to all of these meetings and take notes of all of this stuff. But they get different perspectives. You can talk to the Relief Society president, and she can tell you about the mom and maybe some trials that are going on. And then you talk to the primary president, and she knows the kids and what they're going through with this whole situation. And so you can kind of gather a whole picture together. And so it's very important for a bishop to counsel with all of these people. I couldn't imagine our bishop trying to make a decision for everything. It would be overwhelming, you know, if he made the decision on everything. It would be a nightmare for him, because that would just be so much responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it says, where you go find what he said. I remember it saying that they are unified. Hold on, I'm trying to find it. But I remember it also said the bishop, for example, has so much work to do, but he shouldn't do it alone. Like, he has this committee that, you know, they're unified together to help each other. And like you said, those are great examples of why the bishop should counsel with, you know, the Relief Society president and all the others. Dang it, now I can't find it. Oh, well. Let's see. Oh, well, I'll stop looking for it.
All right.
Okay. So how could a bishop use the diversity of his councils to help the ward?
Well, like the whole case, everything is like pointing to like businesses perform better when diversity is accepted and celebrated. So like that's why you would get a bishop's counsel or actions would be better with counselors, because science shows that better decisions are made when everyone can kind of not be hindered.
Yeah. And you think about most wards, there's diversity. There's less active people, there's part member families, there's active members, there's, you know, different races a lot of times in your ward. So to have that council, they may have some of those diversities as well, you know, and that they know how to help with these situations. You know, I've known of Relief Society presidents that their husbands are inactive, and they might have a different perspective on part or inactive people. So yeah, councils can be diverse.
True that.
I think another thing to add to that is that the bishop is not only able to get perspectives from other people, but he's able to give his perspective, and I think he's able to get like the advice on how to handle a situation the right way as well. Like when he was thinking that the testimony meetings were becoming, you were just kind of losing its purpose. It was turning into people just sharing their personal stories, and it didn't really have much to do about Christ. He asked the committee, you know, how can we, he specifically said, how can we teach the importance of using testimony meeting for testifying of Christ and his restored church without offending our members? And so I think him being able to get a little bit more perspectives will be able to help him handle it and better help the ward, instead of him handling it the way that he thinks might be the best. It might not necessarily be the best way that everyone else is going to be able to take it, because I know people in the church get offended easily. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and he came to find out, I remember on that talk that the one lady said, well, who do we need to talk to that's causing this problem of talking after sacrament meeting or whatever? Bishop, it's you. You're the one that's
oh yeah,
that's causing it. And so he had to take a look at himself and go, okay, I need
Right. Yeah.
to.
Okay. Let's see. The last question. We have 6 minutes left. Have you seen bishops or other church leaders do this?
And what exists? What is this? Like using diversity of councils to help the ward, or
Yeah, I think
something
that's.
negative?
I think that's probably what it's talking about. I mean, I know from my experience, my bishop does all the time. I mean, he values everyone's opinion, and you know, he understands he has the final call. But I would say most of the time, when someone gives an idea, he goes with it. If the group agrees and feels that it's right, he uses someone's suggestion, and he lets other people talk first of what they feel. If he has a very strong opinion on something, he'll kind of give his counsel and then say, "Tell me what you think on this." But that's
good. Yeah.
My wife goes to ward council every week. She's really young women's president, and she encounters it like the ward council working together to give different perspectives and backgrounds and help people.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. I haven't really had much experience with seeing church leaders when I'm trying to. I don't know. I just keep thinking about I would have young women leaders. I guess when I was in Young Women's, we were very good about splitting up into our groups, and we all had our friends and kind of separated. And I think my young women, some of them were really good about bringing us all together and making sure that we all get along. And we were all different. We all obviously we were so different that we didn't necessarily care to even spend time with the other people. But we were able to, they brought us together and we were able to learn from each other and grow, and we all ended up, being good friends. So I think that's another way it was, I don't know.
I think that's a great example, especially with, teenagers and young men. And they are very diverse, and for leaders to help kind of unify. They might still have their same opinions and beliefs and friends, but when they can come together, church and mutual, and be unified, that's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a good leader.
Yeah.
Okay. We got like 30 seconds left for that one.
Well, yeah, I say that's a marginal loss. It's just
Okay.
Yeah, we can move on.
So the Making Differences Matter article assumes there is some value to companies in promoting a diverse workforce. Do you agree? What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages?
I agree. We've been spending time coming up with examples of why diversity of opinion helps.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know. You see, I'll take it. Oh, he's smiling now. Amazing. What was I gonna say? This is Lincoln.
I think
There he goes. Oh, I don't know. And like politically, when you have a diversity of opinions, it just like becomes a mess and it's just like chaos and like
Yeah.
doesn't really get anywhere. So like I don't know. I don't know where like you draw the line, or like maybe it's like the culture that keeps diversity of opinions in like a beneficial area and not like people just fighting and discord. The end.
I mean,
What I was
I agree. I
thinking.
think it's
Said what are the disadvantages?
oh, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You can go.
Disadvantages? Ooh, I guess some disadvantages could be if for some reason you hired two people. I'm thinking maybe who really doesn't like each other, a Muslim person, and well, I don't know.
Two people. Yeah.
Two people that, yeah, that just don't get along and they can't stand each other because of their race or religion. If they can't work it out and don't want to work it out, I mean, that could be a huge distraction, and you would probably
Right.
have to end up letting either one or both of them go.
That's true.
Tongan
That
and
would.
Samoan.
What's that, Eric?
Tongan and Samoan, they typically, they like traditionally don't get along. I know that's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that too. What approach would you take to diversity as a manager?
I would embrace it, be bold about it, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. I think you just accept it and just try to make the best out of the situation. Try to help everyone progress. I think part of a manager is helping people succeed. Doesn't matter who they are, helping them.
Right.
I guess part of it could be difficult because if like you have this idea, or like maybe like your company is like, no, you want to hire like a diverse range of people on your team to like do it, but then like you only just get like, I guess, white males applying. It's like, well, yeah, lots of like this guy would be like very qualified, but like I'm looking for diversity. Like, I guess it'd be hard to like go out and seek that out. Like, hey, you should like. I guess that's what recruiters do.
Yeah, I remember on that TED video, she talked about the ESPN guy and saying, something about, he asked the question, do you want me to hire a minority or someone who's the most qualified? And he said, yes. And so to me, that is, you hire the best person. If that person happens to be a different race, you hire him. That's kind of what I got out of it. If he's not the best person, the right person for the job, then you hire someone else. It doesn't, just, no.
I guess that I thought you should find someone that is diverse that is the most qualified. So like go out a little more.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Because that's like super hard to do. Like I know, like that's just like, oh, I've got this perfect world where we're all diverse and we're all super qualified and it all works together in perfect synergy. Like that's like almost impossible to reach, but like I guess that's like ideal, but that'd be hard to get there as a manager.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
Then I guess me as a manager, it wouldn't matter if, well, yeah, if they're qualified, they're qualified. Like race wouldn't really matter.
Right. That's how I was just thinking, how would you, I mean, if you're just looking at a list of applications and you find the ones that qualify or they're the best fit, how do you know how diverse you're being?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell just off an application, as you're going through. Yeah. Hard.
Yeah, it's harder than it looks, right? Okay, Well, I think that was it then.
Good talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
I was also going to bring up the doohickey. So is that's fully due next week, right?
Yeah.
So we probably want to do something about that.
So did you guys all get my Google Doc that I sent out?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how we split it up. You know, I mean, we're at a disadvantage, I guess, because there's three of
I
us.
guess that was probably.
I guess we'll be doing a little bit more work.
Oh, yay.
But that's, I don't know. That example he gave was, did you guys see the example?
That was crazy. I didn't think it was going to be that long.
11-page paper.
Well, did you listen to his video?
Yeah.
Not yet.
He said it doesn't have to be this perfect. He said, I don't expect it to be this perfect. And this long, but
Oh, we still get the same grade as they did.
that was a little overwhelming seeing.
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't know. Eric, are you maybe in a position to break it up into thirds and then just like say that way we just know what to look up and
yeah, let me take a look at that and see, because there's different questions and you have to come up. I know there's like 3 questions and you have to come up with 4 answers to each question. So yeah, let me take a look at it and
yeah, it's like, yeah, I remember that.
okay. So yeah, and maybe on that Google Doc, maybe I'll just write who's doing what. And if you guys don't like it, tell me and we can switch it around. Or if you have a preference of I guess what question you want to answer, I know also.
I'll be fine with whatever. I just need a place to start.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll look at that. What's today? Today's Wednesday. Yeah. I'll try and have that done. My family's all going to Mexico and I'm staying here for
Oh.
so I'll have time. So probably Saturday.
All right.
Yeah, Saturday morning. Unless maybe I need to do it earlier. I'll see if I can do it tomorrow or Friday.
Whatever works best for you. I probably wouldn't be able to start working on it until Saturday anyways, so.
Okay.
When is it due?
So I think he said the 16th
Okay.
on his video, which is, what day is that?
Oh, so that's in.
It's due week 5, but like everything week 5 is due.
Oh, it's due that Monday morning. That's right.
Oh, Monday morning at 8 a.m. That's right.
Okay, so it's not next Monday, but the Monday after that. So we still have another full week.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and next week we don't have one of these, right? We don't have the.
Oh, we don't?
I hope not.
Well, I'll look. Homepage. Content. Week 5. Employee
It
vignette.
says we do.
Sexual harassment. We do.
Oh, what?
So that one's mine. I'll be the discussion leader on it.
Okay. I was kind of hoping we wouldn't have one and we could just
Mhm.
do Hickey.
Makes sense.
That sounds too good to be true, though.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get those assigned out. Okay. Is there anything else we need to do for this one?
Ready, break.
I think that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
I'll try to get a hold of Quentin this week.
Okay.
And
Yeah, maybe we'll have to email the teacher. I wonder if he dropped to the class.
if
Well-
not, he's dead to us.
Yeah.
Until he watches this video.
Yeah, I know. Maybe he won't watch it all the way to the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm honestly still fine with all of my actions.
How cold is it? How cold is it in Rexburg right now? Or in,
It's been
pretty
super
cold.
cold today. What's the temperature in Rexburg right now?
It says right now it's 41.
42 and cloudy.
42?
Yeah.
It's 85 here.
Oh, wow. That's too hot. Just kidding.
I know 85 is super nice when middle of the day is 103.
Yeah, the low is only 68 tonight. So. Rachel, you're from Idaho, right?
Yeah.
So you're used to the cold.
Yeah, this is perfect.
All right.
Well, have a good night, y'all.
You too. We'll talk to you later.
You.
Bye.
Okay, bye.